Thank you. Thank you, Nico, and thank you, Mingyu, for initiating it. And hello, China. It is very special time for me and very special occasion because I feel it is the first time I am making a contribution to China, and China is making a contribution to me.
好，那谢谢刚才尼克的介绍，也谢谢明宇老师的邀请啊。那中国大家好。那对我来说呢，这是特别的一个时机，也是特别的一个场合，因为我能够感觉到，这是我第一次在给中国给中国的朋友们做出这样的贡献，而与此同时呢，其实中国也在为我贡献着。
I felt very honored when my Chinese colleagues invited me to bring my work to China.
当初我的中国同事们邀请我，可以把这项工作带给中国的时候呢，我觉得非常的荣幸。
Because I came to the later part of my life and my work and only met a part of humanity, and now they help me to complete my meeting of humanity by making a real meeting with China.
那因为呢，我现在工作到这个年纪包括工作的过程当中接触到的这个人文或者说是人，其实也只是一部分。但是呢，因为跟中国的这次真正的相遇，可以说让我能够完整的跟全部的这个人性也好或者人文也好去相遇。
I always say that when I will be 70, I will come to China because the Chinese people respect old people.
那我一直都说等我70岁的时候，我一定要去中国，因为中国人非常的这个尊重老年人。
Well, I became 70 and I'm coming to China. It happened.
那你看，我就70岁了，我要去中国了这真的是会发生的。
I see my contribution to China, my connection to China, as a part of a international universal bridge building between China and the rest of the world. We're only beginning it.
那其实我将我对于中国能够提供的这个贡献，以及我将我跟中国的这个连接呢，其实把它看作是这个国际性的或者说是普世性的这样的一个桥梁建构的过程。其实跟中国之间，还有跟世界其他的国家之间，我正在搭建这个桥梁，这个桥梁的搭建才刚刚开始。
We Europeans and Americans, and even Australians, we were separated from Chinese people for too long. It's time to come together again and to meet each other.
因为我们欧洲人或者是美国人，还有澳大利亚人可以说是跟中国人之间这种分隔的或者说是分离的时间已经很长久了。现在是时候应该让东西方人可以相遇了。
I have been doing this work for 35 years in all the continents of the world in 22 countries, but only now I arrived to China.
那其实我从事这项工作已经有35年的时间，而且在所有的大陆所有的大洲，其实有22个国家都有从事过这项工作，但是直到现在才开始跟中国的同事们一起工作。
And I'm very excited about it. It can be a complete renewal for me and for my work.
所以我是非常的兴奋的，因为这对我个人以及对我的这项工作可以说是一种振兴，或者说是一种复兴的感觉。
And for all our Psychophonetics community in many countries.
同时，其实对于很多国家的我们的心理语音学的这样的社群，也可以说这是一种更新的状态。
My new Chinese colleagues, they thought that I have a gift and a contribution for Chinese people from myself and for my work.
那我中国的这些同事们、朋友们，他们觉得我的这项工作可以给中国带来贡献也可以相当于一个礼物一样送给中国的朋友们。
I believe them, so I'm coming.
那我是相信这一点的所以我就要来了。
But I know that China and Chinese people and Chinese culture and Chinese language have a huge contribution potential for me and for my work and for the rest of our community.
而且，其实我也知道，中国人以及中国的文化，甚至是中国的语言，其实对于我的工作，对于这个我所在的这个社群啊，心理语音学的这个社群的其他的人来说，也是一份潜在的贡献和礼物。
So I am not bringing to China complete ready-made content that I want to give you. I'm coming to meet, and I hope that both sides will be enriched and will grow through this meeting.
其实我如果去中国，或者说是带给中国朋友这样的分享，也绝对不是说把一个现成的内容、现成的概念带给大家，然后就直接给大家，而是说我想要来跟大家相遇，并且我相信这是一个今天我们现在流行词哈，叫双向奔赴，也就是两边两个方向上其实都能够互相丰富、互相成长的。
I was invited to introduce psychophonetics to China by my Chinese colleagues. And this is the beginning of this introduction and the particular focus for this seminar.
那我中国的同事朋友们，他们邀请我可以把心理语音学这个学科介绍给大家。那可以说今天或者说是这一系列的讲座就是在专注在这个内容上。
Psychophonetics is not Eastern impulse or Western impulse or Central impulse. It is a language for the human soul, a language for human experience.
心理语音学呢，不是说它是来自于西方的一股脉动，或者说来自于东方的脉动，或者说来自这个世界中间的哪样的一个国家的这样的一个脉动，而是说它其实是给予人类心魂语言的这样的一种来自于人类体验的这种心魂的语言。
Origin of psychophonetics is not one place in the world, is not one culture. It started as an international impulse.
所以原本的这个心理语音学绝对不是说它就在世界的某一个地方开始，或者说是在某一种文化里开始，而是说它就是一股国际的，或者说是全世界的脉动。
I was born to Bulgarian, Ukrainian, Russian origin in Israel.
那我出生在以色列但是然后呢，这个应该说是天生的血统里是不是有这个乌克兰、俄罗斯、保加利亚这样子的这个血统在。
I completed my education in England. I started my work in Australia.
然后我是在英国完成了我的教育，然后我的工作呢是开始于澳大利亚。
I came to maturity in South Africa.
然后我是在南非的时候才进入成年。
And then I came again to Europe to establish my work here.
然后我又再次的回到欧洲，开始建立了我的这份工作。
England, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia.
可以说又有英国，又有匈牙利又有捷克斯洛伐克。
So when people ask me where I'm from, I need to give them a lecture.
所以如果有人问我说你是打哪儿来呀？那关于这一点，可能我都可以做一个讲座了。
So I'm not bringing another European Western impulse to China. I bring something which belongs to humanity, to another part of humanity, which I'm looking forward very much to meet.
所以我绝对不是说把一个西方的或者说是欧洲的一种脉动就直接的带给中国，而是说我带来的本来就是属于人类的东西，然后我把它带给另一部分人类我非常期待的中国朋友们跟他相遇。
The origin of psychophonetics is the universal language of drama, of theater.
那可以说，心理语音学它的起源呢，是来自于戏剧或者说是在剧场、剧院里、戏剧里的一种普世的语言。
Empathy was born in theater.
同理心其实是诞生在剧场当中的。
Everywhere in the world, in theater.
也可以说是在这个世界各地或者说是在剧场里在世界各地都有的这个东西。
When one human being represents another human being to another human being, Empathy was born in this process.
那其实当一个人他扮演另外一个人，并且把扮演的这个内容演给另外的人的时候，在这个过程里面就已经产生了同理心。
And I developed this work in theater as an actor, director, researcher. From theater, we expanded into psychology.
那所以其实我当时是作为演员、作为导演作为一个探索者、研究者，我开发了或者说是研发了我的这项工作。那所以其实它最初，也就是心理语音学最初其实是来自于剧场，来自于戏剧。
Psychophonetics now is the form of theater, in the form of counseling, psychotherapy, psychosomatic healing, consultancy, but the theater continue. One human being represents another human being and building a bridge.
那所以心理语音学呢，它其实是来自于戏剧当中的一种形态，但是现在呢，它成为了一种咨询，或者说是一种心理咨询或者身心疗愈方面的这样的一个形式。但是呢，在剧场当中的内容依然还在持续着进行着，也就是一个人演另外一个人，然后呢，把这样的表演内容呢展现给在其他的人这之间呢建构起这样的一个桥梁来。
To understand another human being, require to understand yourself.
我们想要了解另外一个人呢，就需要我们先了解我们自己。
Inside, we find the language with which we understand another human being.
我们在内在是可以找到一种语言的，那使用上这种语言呢，我们就可以理解另外一个人。
The language to understand the human soul is not English or German or Chinese or Slovak. It's a language of higher intelligence, which is required for that.
那所以，其实我们想要了解另外一个人心魂的语言，它并不是某一种特定的语言，不是英语，不是德语，不是中文，也不是这个斯洛伐克语，它是需要一种更高的智能的语言我们是需要获得这种更高智能的语言。
So the focus of this seminar is activating deep human intelligence, and deep human intelligence is completely universal.
那所以，其实我们这趟学习之旅的焦点呢，就是要去激活人类更深层的一种智能，而这种更深层的人类智能其实是完完全全普世性的，也就是人人都具有的。
I have one family,
我有一个家庭，
humanity.
那就是全人类。
I have one home,
我有一个家园，
planet Earth.
那就是大地母亲。
We became too separated, it's time to come together again.
就是因为我们之间割裂或者分离的太久了其实该到的时候能够让人类再一次的重新聚合。
We will only survive through much deeper and more effective collaboration and cooperation between all nations and all people.
那其实只有所有的国家、所有的人民都能够真正的合作或者真正的结合在一起的时候，我们才能够有效的生存。
We became too much strangers for each other. It's time to remember it's one family.
我们彼此之间已经成为陌生人太久太久了，真的是时候记起我们彼此其实是一家人。
If this is ideology, it's not enough. It has to be practice.
那如果这只是一种意识形态的话，其实还是不足够的就是一定我们要能够把它践行出来，一定要能够把它做出来、实践出来。
We have to rediscover the universal language of humanity.
我们一定要重新去发掘出一种全人类的普世人类的语言。
All babies speak the same language.
那所有的小宝宝或者小婴儿们，他们说的是相同的语言。
All babies can understand each other perfectly well.
所有的小宝宝们、小婴儿们之间，他们是可以很好的互相理解的。
Eskimos and Zulus, Red Indians and Mongols, all babies speak universal language.
那不管是爱斯基摩的宝宝啊、祖鲁宝宝，还有这个印第安人宝宝，还有这个蒙古的宝宝哈，那他们讲的这种就是普世性的语言，
We just forgot.
那只是我们忘记了而已。
We are here to remember.
所以我们要在这里把它记起来。
And the fundamental element of all languages are the universal alphabet of human speech, consonants and vowels.
那可以说，所有语言的最根本的那个元素啊，也就是人类言说或者人类言语的这样的一个这个普世性的这个字母或者组成部分吧，我们应该说，其实就是元音和辅音。
By the time a child starts to speak the local language, they already learned so much of humanity, which is completely universal.
那其实当一个孩子开始学会自己的母语，开始讲话的时候，他们其实对于这个属于全人类的或者属于普世性的这种人文或者人性的东西，已经了解了很多了，已经学习了很多了。
Psychophonetics is a development of universal language that goes as deep as where we started with the basic sounds of human speech and renewing our fundamental connection to universal humanity.
那可以说，心理语音学呢，它其实就是一种普世性语言的发展，而且它可以深深地回溯到我们人类言说、人类言语的这个最根本的声音，然后我们可以用一种更新了，或者说是复兴、更新了的这样子的状态，再一次的与普世性的人性去连接。
The real boundary between people is not East and West and North and South and Europe and China. That's not the real boundary. The real boundary is between all of us and the next level of human development.
The real boundary between us is the next level of human
The real
development.
boundary between people is not between European and Chinese and Americans and Russian. That's not the real boundary.
OK， 那其实人与人之间的界限，并不是说是东方人还是西方人，是美国人还是欧洲人还是中国人啊，这些都不是真正的这种局限或者是界限。
The real boundary is between all of us with all our languages and the next dimension of human evolution.
那真正的这个界限呢，其实是在我们语言之间，可以说是在人类的演化这个过程当中的下一个维度，接下来的维度里。
And on that level, humanity is one community.
那在这样的一个层次上，也就是在那个维度里面，其实人性是一个整体，或者说人性是一个社群。
But we can only discover it one person at a time through going into the depths of the individual soul. We can connect to every human soul.
但是想要达到这样的一个维度，或者想要重新去发现这个层次，就必须要通过每一个个体，你只能自己去进入到这样子的维度，去通过每一个人的个体的心魂去与它连接。
Our intellectual intelligence must expand to a level of understanding people from inside.
所以我们现在非常智性的这种智能就是我们的这种理智心的这种智能，必须要能够去扩展到我们能够从内在去理解他人的这样子的层次上。
When we go deep enough into the individual soul, we become more individual and more universal at the same time.
那所以其实当我们每一个个体能够更深入的进入到自己的心魂的时候，我们也可以变得越来越个性化或者越来越个体化，但与此同时，我们也能够变得越来越普世性，越来越宇宙性。
It took many thousands of years to contract from universal human beings into the physical, material, intellectual culture of today.
那可以说，花了成千上万年啊，我们说才从一种普世性的人类状态，这样子这种越来越密集或者越来越收缩成为现在的非常物质化的、非常这个智性化的当今的这种人类文化。
Even in Chinese perspective, the universal spirit contracted into the qi so that the qi could create the world.
那即便是像从中国的这个视角啊，中国人的这个视角，就会认为整个世界的这个灵性啊，这个都是凝结成为了我们说聚合成气，然后气又可以产生万物。
To create physical world, to create individual intellectual consciousness was a process of contraction.
那为了能够创造出这样的一个物质世界，为了能够创造出这种个性化、个体化，然后智性化的这样的一种意识状态，这是需要一个收缩的这样的一个过程，压缩的这样的一个过程。
We contracted enough. It is time to expand again.
那可以说，经历了这么久的收缩，我们已经收缩的足够多了。现在又到了时候，我们要再一次的去扩张。
And this expansion doesn't happen by nature. We have to do it consciously.
而这种扩张或者说是扩展，它是没有办法由自然自动发生的。我们必须要是通过有意识去扩张。
Our present standard of intellectual thinking is just not enough for the survival of humanity. We start to be self-destructive. Look around.
那其实，在当今的这个时代，我们只用上这样一种智性的思考啊，这个标准其实是已经不足够了。因为如果整个人类想要继续生存的话，我们就必须要改变啊，要能够改变原来的这个方向。因为如果还按照这种智性化下去，我们就是在自我毁灭啊。其实先看一看当今的世界就知道了。
On this expansion of consciousness depends the future of humanity and of the earth.
所以其实只有这种人类意识的扩张、扩展，才能够这个我们人整个未来还有地球啊，都取决于这种意识的扩展。
And this requires developing higher dimensions of consciousness. We cannot do it with just intellect anymore.
所以这就需要我们能够发展出一种更高的意识形态，或者说是更高的意识维度。那想要达到这种状态，只用我们现在的这种智性化的思考是不足够的。
And on the threshold between the contraction and the expansion, between the separation and the unity, between the strangeness and the familial knowledge of each other, on that threshold stands the challenge of empathy.
那所以可以说这是有一个门槛，或者说有一个临界点。那这个两边呢，你可以说是这种分离啊、统一，然后还有这种陌生与熟悉，还有或者说是这种扩张跟收缩啊，这都会有一个临界点，或者说都会有一个门槛。那在这个门槛上所在的，就是需要我们能够发展出同理心，也就是对同理心产生的一种挑战。
Empathy is not a Greek word.
同理心它不是一个希腊词，
It's not a European word. It's not a Western or Eastern word. It's a completely universal word.
那同理心它也不是一个欧洲的词语，也不是西方词或者说是东方词，这是一个彻彻底底的普世性的词语。
In coming to you from here, I don't bring some European or Western impulse to you. I want to discover with you together what it takes to be more fully human.
那所以其实虽然这个话是从我这边说出来的，但我并不是说要把一个西方的脉动或者说是一个欧洲的脉动就这样扔给大家，而是希望可以跟大家一起去重新探索，怎么样我们才能够成为一个更加饱满的、更加完整的人。
The word empathy was invented in 1951 You don't find it in any dictionary in the world before 1951. It's completely new.
那其实同理心这个词哈，那老师说的就是英文，就是 empathy。那它是1951年才被发明出来的，也就是在1951年之前，其实你在任何的字典里都找不到这个词。在那之前，这个词就是一个陌生的词。
It was created as a concept and as ideal and as practical process because we needed it already then so badly. We really need to develop empathy. That's why it was born.
那所以它最初发明出来，它可以是一个概念，可以是一个想法，但是它也需要是一个具有实操性的，或者说是一个实际的过程。因为在那样子的时代啊，这个词是非常被大家渴望得到的，或者说是非常需要的这么一个词。
Psychology itself was a very new science in the 50s, but counseling and empathy, even newer, did not exist before early 50s, was created by a genius and a great humanitarian, Carl Rogers.
那所以其实，在50年代，也就是上个世纪50年代的时候呢，科技已经有了这种新的发展啊。但是那个时候，像心理咨询、像同理心这类的内容还是更加的新的。也就是在50年代之前，这个同理心呐、什么心理咨询呐、这类其实是不存在的。所以在那个1951年左右的时候，他才有一位天才，一位非常了不起的人文主义学家，就是卡尔·罗杰斯啊，他发明的这个词。
He discovered in himself a new capacity of understanding people from their own point of view. That was new.
那所以当时他是在自己内在去发现，我可以从自己的内在，从自己的视角去理解另外一个人。当有了这种能力的时候，我们说这是同理心啊，所以这个是那个时候的新发现。
Three terms were invented in 1951 that didn't exist before.
那其实有3个词语是在1951年的时候被发现的，或者被发明的吧。那在那之前，可以说这3个词语是不存在的。
Empathy,
第一个，同理心，
counselor,
咨询，
and person-centered therapy. Didn't exist before.
还有就是以人为中心的治疗啊，这3个术语在1951年以前是没有的。
And two things happened. One, we needed it at that time, and we started to be able to do it at that time and not before.
那这里面呢，就是有2件事发生啊，一个呢就是我们在那个时候会非常需要这些东西，然后呢在那之前其实是没有的，然后还有一点呢，就是从那一个时刻开始，我们能够去这样去做了。
He was the father of humanistics counseling, but what he founded goes far beyond any particular school of psychology.
那他可以说他是这个人文主义咨询之父，但是呢，他所建立的这个东西其实是远远超过了任何的一个心理咨询的派别。
How did we survive until that point without empathy?
那其实，在那个同理心这一点被发明出来之前，在那之前，我们人是怎么生存的呢？
Not very well, not very well. We survived not very well.
也生存哈，但是生存的不是太好。
Is it getting better? I don't think so.
那有没有在变好呢？好像又没有，
It's becoming more critical
反倒是变得更苛刻了。
because the creation of the idea of empathy was only the beginning of a complete new cycle of evolution. We are babies in empathy, all of us.
因为其实同理心这个理念的发明，这个出现哈，它其实也只是说，一轮新的演进过程才刚刚开始。那我们进入了一轮新的演进，但是呢，我们在这个阶段就像是小宝宝一样，小婴儿一样。
Like a child is growing with complete identity, with parents and small family into the community, into humanity, humanity altogether is growing from group consciousness to individual consciousness into a new dimension of community. It is happening to all of us right now.
那就像是一个小孩子他的成长啊，那他最开始是有这种完整的这个身份状态，那个时候他是有父母啊，然后有小的家庭，然后再进入到一个社群，再进入到整个人类。但是现在整个全人类它是一起的哈，作为一体性的，我们是从一种群体意识开始像小孩子那样子去发展，然后再是逐渐的进入到一种这个个体的意识状态。并且接着进入到了一种社群的新的意识维度里。那其实整个人类才刚刚迈入到这种新的意识维度。
We survived on group instincts, family instincts, community instincts. The instincts are disappearing. Now we have to do everything consciously.
那我们最初要想生存，其实是依赖于群体的本能，或者说是家庭本能。还有这个社群本能啊，但是呢，这种本能现在已经消失了，也就是接下来我们做任何的事情都必须是有意识的。
The Institute, the International Institute of Psychophonetics, has a branch in Slovakia now, and it is called Škola Empathy. It is probably the only school of methodical empathy in Europe.
心理语音学国际学院啊，虽然现在是在这个斯洛伐克啊，是一个分支，那它的这个分支其实是叫做这个心理语音学还是什么同理心学院是吧？然后呢，这是在欧洲唯一的可以说是这个以同理心为方法论的这样的一个学派。
So the center of the School of Empathy is not east or west or north or south. It is right here in the center.
那可以说，同理心这个学派，它的核心并不是说在东方、在西方、在南方，或者说是在北方啊，它就是在这里，在中心。
Empathy on the very basic level means a shift from looking at reality from my point of view to looking at reality from your point of view. 180 degrees opposite.
那你可以说，这个同理心它的一个基本的含义呢，就是切换啊，或者说是调转。你可以说是我这个原来从我的这个视角去看现实，然后呢，现在来一个180度的切换，或者180度的调转，我可以从你的视角去看问题、看现实。
From seeing and listening and understanding people from outside to seeing and hearing and understanding people from the inside. That is the transition we are all in.
你可以说，原来我是从外在去看、去听、去理解他人，但是现在我们整个的一个切换和调转呢，就是我们可以从内在去看、去听、去理解他人。所以，其实这是我们现在所处的一个这个过渡。
To see you from your own point of view, I need to lift myself above my personal identity, my unconscious personal identity. I need to be able to look at myself with a new consciousness that enable me to see you.
那为了能够站在你的视角去看你，我就需要能够把我自己有这样的一个拉升，或者说是这样的一个提升。而这个提升是要超越我原来自己的这个个人身份，尤其是超越我原来的这种无意识的这个个人身份。那我需要可以从这样子的视角，就把我自己提出来，这样的视角能看到我自己，也就是从一种新的意识状态看到我自己。当我能够有这种新的意识状态的时候，我才能够从它去相当于从你的视角去看见你。
Human beings are not objects.
那我们人类其实不是物体啊，不是客体。
And a level of consciousness that look at the world as objects cannot catch the inner life of human beings, Because they're not objects, they're subjects.
那其实有一种意识状态呢，是把全世界的东西或者把这个世界都看作是客体，也就是这种物体。那如果是这种意识状态，你是没有办法去捕捉到人类内在的生命的，因为我们人不是物体啊，不是客体。
I'm not an object, I'm a subject.
那我不是一个客体，我是一个主体。
I've got a body, you can see it, but I'm not an object.
那我当然有身体哈，这个大家可以看到，但是我不是一个客体，我不是客体跟物体这是一个意思哈，我不是一个物体。
And to understand you as a subject, I need to lift myself into a perspective of myself that enable me to see you as a subject, not you as an object.
那如果我为了能够将你也作为一个主体去理解的话，我就必须能够提升我自己，将我自己提升到这样的一个我自己也是看我自己是个主体这样的一个视角，或者说是这样的一种意识状态，我才能够将你也看作是同样的一个主体，而并非客体。
And this is the threshold humanity is on now. Are we going to keep looking at people and even at nature as so many objects? Or are we going to cross and see the soul of everyone and the soul of everything from inside?
所以这就是现在我们说的这样的一个临界点的状态，或者处在这样的一个门槛的状态。那我们人到底要不要跨越这个门槛，还是说我们依然待在原来的这个地方？我们依然将其他的人，依然将大自然都看作是一个客体、一个物体，还是说我们要真的跨越过去，真的能够看到每一个人的这个心魂，或者一切事物的心魂？
The future of humanity is empathy if humanity has a future at all.
那关于人性的这个未来，或者人类的未来其实也就是涉及到这个人类的未来是否有同理心。
The future of nature is empathy with nature if nature had a future at all.
那自然的未来也是到底这个大自然我们有没有用同理心、带有同理心的方式去看待自然？其实这个就是我们大自然的未来取决的点了。
The whole environmental movement is a movement of empathy with nature.
你可以说整个的这种环境运动、保护环境的运动呢，其实就是我们对自然界的一种同理心的运动。
But it will come to a roadblock unless we develop empathy with people.
但是如果我们没有发展出对人的这种同理心的话，那我们仅仅是做这种环境保护运动，其实是会遇到阻碍的。
It's not a futuristic impulse. It is now. The house is already burning. We have to do it now.
所以其实这并不是一个关于未来主义的一种脉动说你要在未来去实现，其实是现在我们当下就要去做的。因为现在的这个我们人文所居住的这个房子已经着火了，所以我们必须现在就行动。
Europe is burning now.
Europe, OK， 其实欧洲也已经是在着火的状态。
Both in terms of environment and in terms of international relationship. We are on fire. Our home is on fire.
所以其实不管是从环境的角度，还是说从国际关系的角度来说，其实我们都已经失火了都已经是在火中炙烧的状态。
It's a crisis of empathy.
其实也就是同理心的危机时刻。
Because what do people need to feel safe, to feel they belong, to feel they've got a chance in life? We need three things from another human being.
那所以其实我们需要什么呢？才能够让我们觉得是安全的，才能够让我们觉得是有归属感的，才能够让我们觉得我们的人生是有机会的。可以说，其实我们从另外一个人那里，从其他人那里，我们是需要三样东西的。
What does a child need from parents? What does a friend need from a friend? What does a lover need from a lover? Three things.
我们说一个孩子从父母那里他需要些什么，然后一个朋友从他的朋友那里需要些什么， 一个爱人从他的爱人那里又需要什么？可以说有三样东西。
See me. See me from my own point of view. See me for a moment as I see myself from my own point of view. That's the first thing we need from each other.
那我们彼此需要的第一点呢，就是看见我啊，而且是你能够从我看我自己的这个角度啊，从我自己的这个视角看见我，这是我们跟彼此之间需要的第一点。
See my inside, not just my outside.
而且这个看见呢，还是要看见我的内在，还不光是看见我的外在。
The second thing I need from you to be understood, hear me. Hear me, not my words. Hear my meaning. Hear my inner resonance inside of you.
那第二个，我所从你那里需要的，能够理解我的点呢，在于是听到我，而且这个听见我呢，还不光是听到我的话语，还有听到我的意思啊，或者说是从你的内在能够听到跟我的共鸣。
And the third thing is know me. Know me for a moment like I know myself and more. I need someone to know me. Children need to be known to develop.
那第三点，我所需要的呢是了解我啊，知道我，而且我需要的是你能够在像我了解我自己那样的时刻一样了解我啊，就像说孩子他也需要父母能够了解他，知道他，才能够发展。
We fall in love with people that give us the impression for a moment that they can see us and hear us and know us, only to discover later they're trying, they're not there yet.
They're trying what?
They're trying to see us and to hear us and to know us, but they're not there yet, they're only trying.
那我们通常这个第一眼坠入爱河的时候呢，都是觉得我们在那一刻遇到了那个人呢，他看见我了，听见我了，也了解我了。然后后来你会发现，哦，其实，在那一刻，他也只是尝试着、试图着这个看见我、听见我和了解我，还并没有真正的达到这三点。
Psychophonetics is a developmental process that cultivates methodically empathy,
那心理语言学呢，它是一个发展的过程。那在这个过程当中呢，其实就是有方法的啊，用上这个去开发出这个能够使用同理心的方法。
not just in concept, but in real perceptive faculty.
而且这里面说的还不是光光在这个概念的层面上，而是真正的能够在一种感知能力上都做到的同理心。
And the three new deep dimensions of consciousness and of intelligence that we develop, we gave them three names.
那我们在这里面所发展出的这三种更深的维度，或者说是这三种智能的更高的意识哈，我们给它起三个名字。
Imaginative perception to see people from inside.
那第一个呢是想象性的感知，然后我们是可以透过这个想象性的感知，从内在去看见他人。
Inspiration perception to hear people from inside.
灵感性的感知，让我们能够从内在去听见他人。
Intuitive perception to know people from inside.
然后直觉性的感知，让我们能够从内在去了解他人。
To do that, the individual must develop seeing oneself and hearing oneself and knowing oneself on another level. That's what it takes.
那所以想要做到这些，或者想要发展出这样的能力的话呢，我们每一个个体就必须能够去发展出看自己、听自己、了解自己啊，这个是需要我们对自己首先发展到另外的一个层次才行的。
This is a developmental process that we call psychophonetics.
那所以这就是我们称之为心理语音学 学的这样的一个发展的过程。
And it is an ongoing developmental process for everyone.
而且它是对于我们每一个人来说，哈，一直持续的在发展的过程。
For me too. I always work on the next level of my empathy. All the time, I will never stop.
那我自己也是一样，我其实一直都在我的这个同理心的下一个层次上，哈，更高的层次上在工作着，我一直都没有停下来。
Empathy is not something to believe in, it is something to do.
我们说同理心，它不是让你去相信的某个东西，它是要去做的事情。
We can only do it consciously. There's no unconscious empathy. It doesn't exist. It can only happen consciously.
而且同理心必须要能够有意识才做得到，哈，不存在说我是一种无意识的同理心，这是不可能的。想要有同理心，就必须是有意识的。
It's a real evolutionary step that we all have to make today, not tomorrow. It is an evolutionary step. It is an evolutionary step that each one of us have to make today, not tomorrow.
那可以说这是一个演化性的，或者说是一个演进的步伐。我们每一个人都要在今天往前去迈入，而不是说我要等到明天啊，也就是每一步的前进其实都是在今天发生的。
And I'm here to tell you and to encourage you that every human being can make every day a decisive step in one's own empathy.
那我在这里想告诉大家，并且也想鼓励大家的是，其实我们每一个人每一天都可以在自己发展同理心的这件事情上往前迈进有决定性的一步。
We will always need family. We will always need friends. We will always need relationship. We will always need community.
因为我们一直都是需要家庭，我们一直都是需要朋友，我们一直都是需要关系，我们也一直都是需要社群的。
And we need more and more international community too.
而且我们也越来越需要这种国际化的社群。
But we can no longer do it in the old way. It doesn't work.
但是我们没有办法再用旧有的方式啊去获得这些了啊，因为那个旧有的方式已经不起作用了。
So how do we develop consciously imagination, inspiration, and intuitive perception of other people?
那我们怎么样才能够有意识地发展出同理心呢？这里面就再一次的提到刚才说的那三个词啊，就是想象性的感知，还有灵感性的感知，以及直觉性的感知他人。
It is a path of personal transformation. It is a process of personal transformation. It is a process of personal transformation. Apple, do you hear me?
这是一条个人转化之路。
个人转化的过，it's a bit stuck. How about you, 明宇了？
Can you hear me now?
对，我有听到个人转化之路，但是 maybe my network was not very stable just now.
No problem.
Better?
Can you hear me now?
Is it better?
Apple, can you hear me now? Apple went for the satellite for a moment. She'll come back.
那我们稍微等一下 Apple 回来啊，它可能这边网络有点不稳定。
Well, who would like to translate me until Apple comes back?
爱华，你有
You can, Nick? Can you translate me? Or Iwa?
爱马仕跟爱华
Yeah.
Iwa?
Yeah, maybe we can just.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. But But,
All right.
I think Apple is on the way. Just yeah. Oh, she's back already.
Apple
She's
is back. Ah, Apple is back. Can you hear me, Apple?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. Maybe the network.
That's okay. That's okay.
Stable.
Fine.
Is it better now?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So, how do we develop empathy methodically?
那我们怎么样才能够有方法、有系统的去发展出同理心呢？
In psychophonetics, we developed 4 languages to understand oneself.
Someone please mute yourself. Thank you. 那我们在心理语音学当中呢，其实我们是发展出了4种语言去理解他人。
First, we have to understand ourselves, and through this, we can grow to understand another person.
那首先我们要先能够理解我们自己啊，然后呢，透过这一点，我们才能够去理解他人。
Actually, we are doing it at the same time.
而实际上，其实这个我们是在同步做的。
We call it parallel processing.
那我们说把它叫做为这个平行处理。
The parallel processing is the motherboard of the creation of empathy.
我们说这种平行处理呢，就像是这个同理心创造出来的这个模板。
The human body is not just a biological machine. The human body is the center of intelligence.
我们人的身体呢，不仅仅是一个生理的机器啊，我们人的身体其实也是一个智能的中心。
We think of the qi as concentrated intelligence, not as something mechanical.
那我们认为说气，它其实是一种凝结了的或者聚集在一起的这种智能啊，它不是一种机械的东西。
It's not an object, it's intelligence.
它不是一个客体或者说是物体，它是一种智能。
But it doesn't speak words. How can we communicate with the qi itself? The qi does not use words. Apple, did you disappear again?
I think so.
Are you back?
I'm still here.
Are you back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still here.
All right.
But I didn't hear what you said.
In the qi, the foundation of our memory exists, the foundation of our intelligence exists, the foundation of our life exists, but the qi does not speak words.
那在气当中，可以说是我们的记忆的基础存在于气当中，我们的智能也存在于这个智能的基础也在气当中，还有我们生命的基础其实也存在在气当中。但是气本身它不会说话。
But the qi speaks. We have to talk to it.
哦，它不会说出来话啊，但是它会表达，所以我们要跟它能够去交流。
In psychophonetics, we wake up to the language of the qi itself.
所以在心理语音学当中呢，可以说是我们觉醒了一种能够去听懂气所表达的这种能力。
And we discover more and more how intelligent it is in itself.
然后我们就会发现，其实这个气本身它自己的这个智能是多么的聪明，多么的有智慧。
The qi lives through the body, and we can sense it in the body in active sensing.
那气它存在于我们的身体当中，而且我们可以用一种主动的、积极的这样子的感知，去感知到它在我们的身体里。
That's the first process.
那这是第一个过程。
The qi is in constant movement. It doesn't freeze, it's in constant movement. And in movement, we can catch it if we start to think with our hands, not just with our brain.
而且气它还是在持续的运动当中的，它不是冻结的、不动的哈，就是它一直是持续的在运动当中的。 那么既然它在运动当中，那这个时候如果我们可以用我们的双手开始去思考的话，我们就可以捕捉到它，而一定是双手的运动，不是说我们只用大脑去想，我们就可以捕捉到它。
We call it gesture, but spontaneous gesture, not dictated from outside.
那这个我们就把它称作为姿态啊，也就是我们身体或者手的这个姿态，而且呢，它是一种自发的身体姿态，不是说从外在来控制的姿态。
The chi is the foundation of all human intelligence, but unconsciously.
那可以说，我们人类的所有的智能其实都在气当中，只是说它是一种无意识的状态。
It's like an operation system in a computer. You don't see it, but without it, nothing happens.
那它就很像是电脑或者这个计算机的操作系统啊，你可能看不见它，但是没有这个操作系统呢，它又没有办法运作。
But we can wake up to it.
但是我们可以觉醒这种了解它的能力。
We can catch it in pictures. The chi lives in constant creation of pictures, and we can catch them through visualization.
那其实我们是可以用图景捕捉到它的，因为气它一直处在不断运动、不断的这个创造的这种图景当中，所以我们就可以用观想、用想象的方法去捕捉到它。
And the chi organism in the individual form is not made of molecules and cells and tissues and physical organ. It is made of resonance of sounds.
而在每一个个体身上的这个气里的有机体，它并不是由分子构成的，也不是由细胞构成的，更不是由组织构成的某一个这个身体器官，它是由我们声音的这个共鸣或者声音的回响所构成的。
The universal language of the sounds of human speech, basically the language of babies.
你可以说它就是人类言说的一种普世性的语言，也可以讲它基本上就是小宝宝们或者说小婴儿们这个语言哈。啊，好像有人麦克开了，帮我们关一下。
In our theory, the anatomy of the chi is made of the resonances of the sounds of human speech. We don't hear it, it's happening all the time.
那在我们的理论当中，可以说气它的这个解剖学哈，它就是由人类言语声音的这个共鸣所产生的、所构成的。我们其实是听不见它，但是呢，这个言语的这种共鸣、言语的这个回声，它其实一直都在发生着。
We did not create the sounds created us.
那其实不是我们创造了声音，而是声音创造了我们。
We did not create the chi created us.
我们也没有创造气，而是气创造了我们。
We are not maintaining our body consciously, the chi is doing it 24 hours a day.
我们也不是用有意识的方式在维持着我们身体的运作功能，而是气它就是24小时的帮我们运作着，维持着我们的身体功能。
But unconsciously, and it's time we wake up to it.
那所以之前的那些发生都是无意识的，所以现在就到了我们应该能够去觉醒这种能力的时候了。
I speak about simple things like shh, b, d, ah, ooh, k, 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 p, sounds of universal speech.
那所以其实我说都是非常简单的一些东西哈，其实就是刚才说的这些人类言语当中的一些基本的音，比如说 sh， 然后 b d 啊 u 其实这些就是人类普适性言语当中的基本音。
One language for the whole of humanity.
可以说这是全人类的共同的一个语言。
We wake up to it and realize that through the sounds, In combination with sensing and gesture and visualization, we enter a profound dialogue with the life and the intelligence of the Qi.
那可以说，我们就是要去觉醒的，能够了解到这一点，并且透过说这些声音，或者说是再加上感知，然后姿态，然后观想这些内容的组合，我们可以跟我们的那个气能够进行一场非常有生命力的、非常有智能的这样的对话。
These activities every human being is doing anyway.
那其实这些活动刚才说的这几点呢，我们每一个人不管怎么样，其实都一直在做着的。
It is not some strange technique. Everybody is doing it.
其实这并不是什么奇怪的一些技术，每一个人其实都一直在做着。
We activate it consciously in psychophonetics in order to upgrade self consciousness and awareness of the reality of others. This is methodical empathy.
那只不过是在心理语音学当中，我们是要有意识的去激活这种能力，就是为了能够升级我们的自我意识，让我们能够达到一种能够去了知他人的这样的一种觉知状态。这个就是我们说在心理语音学当中，我们是这个同理心有方法的有方法论的一种同理心。
This is how we develop in training and in practice methodical empathy.
那这个也就是我们这个同理心方法论我们的培训还有我们的这个练习的方法。
And deeper dimension of our intelligence become active.
也就是透过这样的练习和训练呢，可以让我们智能的更深的维度能够被激活，能够活跃起来。
And I was invited to present psychophonetics and methodical empathy to the Chinese people.
那我就是受到了这样的邀请可以跟中国的朋友们分享心理语音学。
And today is the first time we actually do it.
那今天就是我第一次跟大家分享心理语音学。
So I'm very grateful for my Chinese colleagues who are bringing me to China to discover in myself Chinese Yehuda.
那所以我非常感谢我的中国同事们可以让我把这个内容分享给中国的朋友们，同时我也能够在自己的内在发现一个新的中国耶呼的。
I'm going to discover the inner Chinese in Yehuda and discover the expansion of psychophonetics into this important part of humanity.
所以我个人呢是想在自己的内在能够去发现一个中国版的耶呼的，但同时呢也是把心理语音学能够扩展到人类的另外一部分。
This is my introduction to psychophonetics and to the deep dimension of human intelligence that is there for all of us, potential.
所以这是我对于心理语音学的一个简短的介绍同时呢，也是跟大家说，在心理语音学当中，其实是可以帮助到我们发展出人类智能的更深的维度的这是我们每一个人其实都可以获得的。
And now we have a short time for some questions from you.
那我们有简短的时间大概是可以让大家问一下问题。
好，那个谢谢雅虎达老师的分享然后他把那个同理心的这个概念放在整个人类意识演化的这个脉络里面来去阐述，然后很宏大，然后也能让我感觉到他的这种人类一体的情怀。然后因为我们这个讲座的时间稍微有一点点超时，我们就给到2个机会来提问，好吧？然后我们就开始就稍微休息一下，有没有朋友有问题可以举手发言？好，
那个你稍微提醒一下老师有没有选传译频道。So Yehuda and Luis and anybody who listen to English, please choose the translation channel and listen to the translation. Thank you.
去，然后你可以开麦直接提问。
谢谢，谢谢老师的分享。我对于老师提到的那个可以去追随，或者是看到，或者是了解那种一个人的气，他的身体姿势，去看到这个气的这个状态。关于这一点，能否请老师多说一点点？
Can anyone translate the question to me?
Yahuda, do you choose the English channel?
I know nothing about it.
Just a moment.
Is there anyone to help you?
Yeah, now we chosen. Now we did it.
Can anybody translate the question to me?
We already.
Could you, yeah,
We
do you
did.
hear me, Yahuda? I have told that question about the qi.
I'm not sure I understood the question.
She will explain herself the question, please.
The body language and the qi. I want to know about more qi. How to see the princess qi as to actually from his body language.
Do you understand? Did you hear it? Can anybody help me to understand the question?
Yeah, so question is about the qi, how to sense the qi, how to follow the qi. How can we sense the qi in our body? Yeah.
It is a
So
new
do you hear me
meeting.
now, Yahuda?
I'm answering. If I understand the question, it is a real,
老师在回答问题。
it is a real
Now you can
new,
answer.
can I answer?
Yes.
It's a real new relationship
那其实这是一种全新的关系，全新的相遇，
which between consciousness and a reality that until now, for most people, was completely unconscious.
那这种相遇呢，是指用意识跟无意识啊，可以说是到目前为止，大部分人来说对此是完全无意识的。那这种老师说所谓的新关系或者新相遇，其实是指一种有意识跟原来完全无意识的这样的一种相遇。
There was a time when some people could see it very clearly.
那一定会到一个时期，说人们是可以清晰的看到它的。
The people who created traditional Chinese medicine, Tai Chi, Qigong, Feng Shui, they could see it.
那其实那些开发应该说哈，最初比如说这个传统中医啊，然后这个气功啊、太极呀这一类的风水，其实那个时候的人他是可以清楚的看到气的。
For them, the Qi was visible.
那对于他们来讲，气就是可见的。
They were scientists of the Qi.
那可以说那个时候的人，他们就像是研究气的科学家一样。
And they left with us this incredible science and technology of Qi healing, which is basically based in Chinese knowledge today.
那可以说，以前的那些人，他们留给我们这些丰富的关于气能够带来的疗愈的这些技法也好技术也好可以说这些其实基本上都是基于中国对于气的这样子的认知，都是源于那个时候。
But now we all have to be scientists of the Qi.
但是现在呢，我们每一个人都要成为关于气的科学家，
Because we became very individualized in the last few hundred years.
因为在过去的几百年当中，我们每一个人都变成了非常的个体化、个性化。
So our Qi is affected by our psychological dynamics. It's not as simple as it used to be.
那所以我们的气是被我们的心理动态所影响的。 我们的气现在的这个状态已经跟过去不一样了，不是那么的简单了。
And no one can tell you from outside how your own psychology and your own cognition is affecting your own chi. You have to discover it for yourself, but we can help you.
那没有一个外人能够从外边他告诉你说，哦，你自己的这个心理状态是什么样的，你的认知如何影响到了你自己的气，这个是别人没有办法从外边告诉你的，你一定要是从自己的内在自己去发现。但是当然我们可以去帮助你。
Each one of us is much more individualized and unique than we have been a few hundred years ago, worldwide.
也可以说，全世界范围来讲，我们每一个人都比几百年前更具有个体化、个性化、更独特了。
Our body, chi, soul, and spirit become much more individualized now.
我们的身体也好，我们的身心灵这个身体、心魂、灵性每一个人现在都比以前更加的个性化、个体化。
More and more health conditions cannot be solved by physical observation and physical science because our own soul is affecting our own body more and more.
那因为现在越来越多的健康状况问题，或者说是一些身体的问题，已经没有办法单纯的被一些外在的身体观察或者外在的身体物理科学这些东西能解决了。因为我们自己的心魂现在可以说自己的心魂越来越多的影响到了我们自己的身体。
One of my most important mentors, a medical practitioner from Singapore, reached the conclusion many years ago that 95% of what people bring to him as a medical doctor has got nothing to do with physical medicine at all. It's all internal dynamic.
那其实我有一位非常重要的督导老师那他是一位来自于新加坡的医生。其实，在很多年前他就达成过这样的一个结论，就是95%其实去看医生的人，95%的人呢，已经不是说单纯的要用这种身体医学或者物理医学就能够去解决的了，更多的是他的内在的一种动态所影响的。
The way people live in the soul affect the health much more than before.
可以说，人现在自己的这个心魂状态、心魂的存在状态，比以前更大程度上的影响到了人的健康。
In Psychophonetics, we train people to become their own therapists, their own scientists, and their own leaders.
那因为在心理语音学当中，我们就是想要培训大家、训练大家，能够成为自己的治疗师，能够成为自己的科学家，能够成为自己的带领者。
And I hope in the second part of this seminar, I can show you through an example, which we hope we will have a volunteer for, how everyone can see their own chi dynamic in the same session, first session.
那我希望在接下来的环节当中，我们需要一个这个志愿者来做我们的案主能够跟大家作为一个展示，让大家看看我们其实每一个人是如何透过我们第一步的这个感知，先感知到自己这个气的运行。
Through a combination of methodical empathy, sensing, gesture, visualization, and sounds.
那我们其实是有方法的在使用我们的同理心，而这个方法论呢，其实它是一种综合的状态。那综合的里面包含感知，包含姿态，包含观想以及声音。
You cannot see the whole chi, you see what you are focused on. You see what you have to know for now.
那并不是说你一下子就能看到所有的气但是我们要现在看的呢是聚焦的这个气，也就是说有焦点的，我们在当下的这一刻需要了解的那个气的状态。
But you have to understand, this is not pure chi anymore. This is chi that is mixed with personal experience and memories.
但是我们要了解，这不是单纯的 只是气，而是那个气当中其实已经混杂了你自己个人的记忆、你自己个人的体验在里面了。
The science of qi itself has to go through development in order to be more relevant for people's personal life.
那气这个科学本身，它其实也是需要在经历着发展的，就是为了能够让现代人更相关的、更好的去了解到他自己的生命状态。
So, what we make visible is not pure qi. What we make visible is a mixture of qi and personal experience. They're not separable anymore.
所以我们在这里让大家能够看到的啊，或者说是我们把它变得可见的，并不是说一个纯的气，或者说是单纯的气，而是这个气当中其实已经混杂了你的个人记忆跟个人体验。那其实气跟个人记忆以及个人体验现在是分不开的了。
Our emotional life is making us sick.
那其实我们的情绪生活，就是我们的情绪状态是会让人生病的。
And our emotional life can make us healthy again.
那同时呢，我们的这个情绪状态也能够让我们再次的健康起来。
We help people to observe the emotional life, which is very subjective, to observe it objectively.
那我们其实就是帮助大家能够去观察自己的情绪状态。那我们都说情绪状态是非常主观的事情，但是我们要用一种非常客观的方法帮助大家去观察自己的情绪状态。
But I know that all this is just talking. I'm a practitioner. We are training people to do it. I hope that we can demonstrate it today.
那我知道现在我只是在跟大家讲啊，可是我本身其实是一个操作者，或者说是一个治疗师哈，我是在做的，是在实践的，所以也希望等一会儿我们透过一个案主的案例，能够跟大家展示出来，它是可以做到的。
And I want to remind you that this presentation, this seminar, is a beginning of the preparation for me and Louise coming to China and train Chinese people in psychophonetics so that you can do it for your own people.
那我也想再次提醒大家，我们今天跟大家分享的这个讲座呢，其实只是准备我自己跟卢伊斯老师去中国，跟大家去培训或者说是去训练这个心理语音学的这样的一个前期的准备的这样一个介绍的工作坊，或者说是这个讲座哈。因为我们到后边真正去到中国可以培训大家的时候呢，这样的话大家就能够自己学会，并且为自己的人去做。
So these seminars and even the articles that we publish, this is just preparation for the actual practical training that we hope to do in China, starting at the end of next year.
那所以我们现在线上的这些演讲啊、工作坊啊，或者说是我们在公众号上已经推出和即将推出的一些文章，其实都是为了准备真正的能够去中国教授大家如何训练自己成为这个在心理语音学当中可以去实施的人。
We have colleagues in many countries that can do it completely independently because they are trained to do it.
那我们真正的培训是会在明年的年底来进行。那其实现在在全世界很多的国家，因为有很多人他们已经完全的受训了这个心理语音学的这个方法，所以他们现在完全可以独立的去操作、去实施。
And some of you met Graham Kanish. He is a graduate of Psychophonetics training, and he can do what he can do because of this training.
那有些同学因为以前参加过 Graham 老师的工作坊啊，也包括跟他做过一些线上的这样子的个案治疗，所以就是 Graham 老师他自己就是参加了心理语音学的培训，所以他可以做到这一点。
Of course, he brings his own genius into it, but he's been through the training.
那当然他自己也有他天赋的一部分带到他的课程当中和带到他的治疗当中，但是他自己是完整的接受了心理语音学的培训。
And we intend to establish this training in China for many years.
那其实我们也很多年就想要在中国可以开始有这样子的培训。
个因为雅慧达的这个回答时间用的有点多，那我们这个环节就先到这里。然后如果大家我看到那个
So yeah, Yahuda, because you really have spent this answer quite a long time, so we'll just answer this question. So we would have a short break.
So,
Short break.
so Nick suggests we have a short break. So shall we have 15 minutes break, Nick?
break, just want to make sure what will be the volunteer in the live demonstration.
Do we have a volunteer who wants to be a client?
We have in the chat box already.
We have a volunteer, Nick.
Even
We have a volunteer. That's what we were hoping for. What is your name?
可以把拼音加上就可以啊，把拼音加上就可以。
你可以把自己的中文名字改成英文名字或者是你的拼音，然后方便老师一会儿跟你对话的时候称呼你。Okay, Yahuda, we have a volunteer now.
And what's her name?
She also has an English name.
Catherine is okay. Catherine.
Catherine. Okay. Catherine, thank you for volunteering. We'll have a short break, come back, and see what we can do together, okay? Okay.
那个曲阳提醒一下哈，就是你要确保你是在一个比较独立的环境，然后没有小孩的干扰，好吧？谢谢。
明白。
然后还有事情要
So-
跟你确认，就是你希望接下来的这个个案演示是录制还是不录制？然后录制的话会有几个不同的层次，一个是只是给
So two conditions. Yeah, first is to guarantee the space is private. So
The what?
she can use that space. Yeah, nobody in the space. No children, no family. She can have her own space. It's the first condition. Second, if she's willing to take a record, yeah, so she's agreed to take a record for her session. So, but she was just limited to this session, not spread out.
Okay, so we will end up a live session on YouTube.
So it will not be recorded.
对了，曲良，你还需要
It can be
这个有
recorded,
一
but
定的这个
only
活动度啊，对。
locally,
So
not
also to
broadcasted.
make sure.
Catherine, promise, no problem. Yeah.
Just tell her that we will stop YouTube broadcast now.
Catherine, we will not do it on YouTube. The session will not be done on YouTube. Okay?
yeah, that, yeah.
Just for the people that are here.
Right.
Okay?
好，谢谢。
Okay, so Nick, in 2:45 Slovak time, and you say what it is in your time, we will get together again, okay?
好的，yeah,
Okay.
我们那个8:45的时候回到教室就可以。
Okay, thank you. And you can stop the recording.